Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. In the last few videos, I had mentioned a couple times, I think, about the return of the Christ being broader and more awesome than that event is in most people's minds, especially the Christians. The Christians view it as the single event, as mystical as event as you could possibly think of, that will result in the end and destruction of this planet. Now, according to my information, it's a lot different than that. That not only is the return of the Christ not just about the return of the Christ, but it's about the return of a teacher for all humanity. It's not about the end of the world. It's about the total transformation of the hearts and minds of every living person on this planet from now on. It's about the total transformation of our physical structures and the beautification of our cities. It's about the ending of all war forever. It's about the ending of violence and the ending of the disparities of wealth and resources. It's about the ending of hunger forever. Let's see, what else? It's about miraculous signs going on that have healing properties. It's about the knowledge of and the fact that we are souls in incarnation. It's about the fact that there is life on other planets as a fact, not as a theory, but as a fact. But it's also not a single event. It's something, and it's not just happening today or will happen in the future, near future, or whenever. The return of the Christ has been going on for thousands of years. In fact, Jesus was a part of the return of the Christ. I mean, it's kind of funny to think it like that, but it's true. And the Gautama Buddha was a part of the return of the Christ, and Muhammad was a part of the return of the Christ, and Abraham Lincoln was a part of the return of the Christ, and the Renaissance painters were a part of the return of the Christ, and the list goes on and on and on, because every disciple in our history, in recorded history, any man or woman who has contributed to society on some level has, whether consciously or mostly unconsciously, helped work out a part of the plan of the return of the Christ. That's how massive it is. It's a massive undertaking. It's about the externalization of the God's representatives on this planet. It's about the externalization of the hierarchy or the masters of wisdom. These masters have worked from behind the scenes for thousands of years, working through their disciples in the world to help bring about this change in humanity that will take us eventually farther than you could, any science fiction movie that you could think of. It's going to take us much farther than that. We have no idea where this is leading us, because the divinity within all of us is infinite. Now, it's not just the divinity about the individual, it's about the divinity within all of humanity. Can you imagine what perfection would mean? But it's not a single event. It can't just happen overnight. It has to be a process. And this is what we're experiencing today. We're experiencing it with the divisions in the world, the sword of cleavage. What did Jesus say 2,000 years ago? I come not to bring peace, but to bring a sword. He was talking about the sword of cleavage, that the love, the divine love that flows through the Christ causes temporary division and separation. If you're a good person, it makes you a better person. If you're a bad person, well, guess what? It makes you a even worse person. If you are very conservative and very reactionary, it makes you more conservative and more reactionary and more fearful. If you're more of a progressive person, well, the sword of cleavage makes you even more progressive. That's why we're seeing over the course of even my lifetime such divisions that I don't even remember these divisions 30 years ago. I'm older than 30 years, but But for the point of this topic, I mean, you can't, it's a lot greater than it today than it was then. People are more separate than they were then. We're more isolated than we were then. We don't care as much about the other person as we did back 30 years ago. Now, we have improved in some areas, but for the most part, as a society, I mean, you look politically, my gosh, so that energy of the Christ energy is what's causing this, but it's a temporary thing. Eventually, it will bring total unity and total harmony in this planet, and that's its function. Now, what I mean by the return of the Christ not being a single event and being broader than just the Christ coming back on the clouds to reward the faithful and punish the wicked is, as I said before, it's nothing less than the total transformation of all life on this planet, the total transformation of the hearts and minds of all of us, without exception. I can't imagine it either. So if you're trying to imagine it while you're listening to this, believe it or not, I can't even imagine what that means in its totality. I'm pretty excited about it because I'd like to see that. But the end of war, the end of hunger, the end of political divisions, all those things that we worry about and fret about today, the return of the Christ and the Masters of Wisdom means the end of that. It doesn't mean the end of all life on the planet. It just means the end of separation, the coming of unity, the end of war, the coming of peace, the end of hunger, the coming of justice. Jesus and all the masters and Maitreya and all the masters come in peace, but they also come to help us create peace because we are living in a barbarian world. Very, very thin layer of civility. But we're more than that. And they will help us bring about the needed changes. But these masters demonstrate moment to moment what we only have glimpses of within ourselves. And because they will be teaching us directly, we will get more of a sense of our own divinity and will start to manifest that divinity with greater ease to where we will eventually be manifesting it moment to moment just like they are. And as Maitreya says, the masters of wisdom are the guarantee that we will achieve what they have already achieved. And the masters are here to set our hearts afire. And we can change the world, it's just we have to do it. We have to start. And according to Maitreya, we have to start by sharing the world's resources. So we'll talk more and more about it, but in greater depth, but I just wanted to kind of touch on it today. So thank you so much for letting me share my side of the story, and I look forward to talking to you again in future videos.